Hi guys, and welcome back to Tesla Electron. Keith here. I hope you've had a fantastic week. I hope you've enjoyed yourself. You've had a good week. I've got to work it. We've got to do better on these intros, don't I? Okay, so let's get into it. So I listened to the interview with Bloomberg and Jim Farley from the Ford CEO. And I found there were some really interesting little nuggets that he mentioned during that interview, which I'd really want to get into. But of course, let's have a look at the basics today. Here's Teslarati. Tesla is experiencing order rate increases in the US because of soaring gas prices. Yep, it's a no-brainer that people are going to move towards electric as the price of gas increases. Here in Australia, down the road, it's $1.91, I should say, and in Sydney, it's as much as $2.20, which is quite expensive for us here in Oz. So lots of people are going to move towards EVs. Let's get to this interview with Jim Farley. Let's get into it.
Farley, thank you very much for speaking to Bloomberg. It's a historic day, a big day for Ford, right? But this is complicated. So how do you manage the complexity internally with two separate P&L statements? How is this going to work?
Well, in our auto business, we actually have three. We have Ford Pro, which is distribution and service, doesn't create vehicles for our commercial customers, but distributes those and sells services on the top. And then we now have, as you said, Ford Blue, our ICE business, and Model E, our BEV business. Look, we can't compete with the very best of the ICE or the BEV world by working on battery electrics from 9 and 10 in the morning. We have to be focused. This announcement is all about focus and capability. We can't run the car company like we used to. We have to have more focus against the old and the new players.
You're raising EV spending to $50 billion. This is some dartboard math, but it seems to be a simple additional $20 billion. Where does that money go? What are the priorities for spending?
We just raised our volume essentially 1 million units. So we're going to get to 2 million vehicles, capacitized 2 million battery electric vehicles by 2026. So with that comes lots of capital for battery plants, lots of capital for the new vehicles and the platforms, lots of capital for tooling in the plants, and lots of capital to secure the raw materials we need for those batteries. You know, when this technology change happens, like it did for cell phones in the 2000s, the supply chain is actually as important as the vehicles themselves. And a lot of that capital is to create the products, industrialize them, but secure the direct sourcing of the EV components and raw materials.
I just want to talk about that for just a moment, what Jim Farley is saying there. What he's really talking about is what Elon was talking about for a very long time, and that's all about vertical integration. So in order for any car manufacturer, whether it be Tesla, Ford, GM, whoever it may end up being, for them to actually produce a compelling EV at scale, at production, they're going to need to have the supply chain tied up as such. They're going to need to have lithium mines, nickel mines, cobalt mines. They need to have very good source materials. See, with Tesla, they vertically integrate, which means that everything from the source material, they then take the source material and produce the batteries, for an example. Yes, they do buy Panasonic and KTAL, but they are also producing their own, and that's their claim to fame, is they want to vertically integrate. They make their own internal chips. They make their own AI circuits. Like, it's pretty amazing. And now Tesla are making with the gigacasting, the front and the rear of the vehicle. These guys always outsource. Ford, GM, and most of the other OEMs, they make ICE engines and they make a few other components, but by and large, they outsource everything and they put everything together a bit like a Meccano set. And so what's going to need to happen is that these guys are going to need to change the way they do things. And Jim Farley's highlighting that in this interview. Let's watch on, see what else he's got to say.
Comes from, you considered carefully a spin-off of the EV business, but decided against it. So what mechanisms will you use to find value for the EV business, to raise capital at a reasonable cost?
Great question. So the most important thing is our core ICE automotive business. It's very profitable. We made over $10 billion last year, but great question. So the most important thing is our core ICE automotive business. It's very profitable. We made over $10 billion last year, but it needs to be a lot more profitable.
Can we stop there just for a second? I understand what they're saying. They're the bear in the bear trap. I said this in my last video. They can't let go of their ICE business because then they'll go broke. So I see what they're saying here. But did you hear the mindset? The most important part of our business is the ICE business. That's the internal combustion engine. How are they going to swing that thinking? How are they going to change that thinking? How are they going to move? It's not the most important part of their business. It keeps them alive. I suppose it keeps them alive long enough for them to actually do something on the EV side of things. But that just shows you something about their thinking. Tesla have no legacy. They've got no ICE business to be concerned about. Same with Rivian, the same with all the other startups. They don't have any old ICE cars to worry about. They don't have to worry about the fact that their old ICE cars are dying off. They can just move forward with what's coming. So the new manufacturers are forward-thinking. Manufacturers like Ford are backward-thinking. They're trying to... They're not even innovating.
We think we're going to have to take about $3 billion out of our structural costs to make that business fully competitive on a return basis. Some of that will be quality. A lot of it will be just waste in the system. And we can't stop there. We have to grow too. And that's why we're committing to 2 million vehicles on the battery electric side. The last thing is we have to get our bill of material down for our EVs. We already got about $2,000 out of the Mach-e. We've just been working on it for about 8 weeks. There's a lot of opportunity to continue to get the bill of material cost down for EVs, and that's going to help contribute to that more profitable business. And we can use that profits and cash flow to reinvest in growth.
Okay, so they got $2,000 out of their Mach-e over 8 weeks. Imagine what they could have done if they had have spent the last 10, 15 years working on it. Anyway, a bit of tongue-in-cheek there. But, you know, I just wonder whether they can actually do it. I just wonder whether Ford will exist in a decade. I hope so, because as I've said before, Tesla can't do it on their own. And thus far, they seem to have done pretty much everything on their own, regardless of what the US government may say.
Mary, I can remember talking to you way back in January about the need for America to lead in electric vehicles. And I can remember your dramatic announcement that by 2035, GM would be 100% electric. You changed the whole story, Mary, wherever you are. There you are. You did, Mary. You electrified the entire automobile industry.
It's pretty obvious that the reason that these guys are only at the table of looking at EVs is because of what Tesla has already done. So they're going to make 2 million EVs by 2026. That's a worry. I don't know how they're going to survive between now and then. It's 2022 now. We'll see.
Batteries and power electronics and the platforms themselves and all the technology like the embedded electrical systems. We will create the talent, and they'll have a mission statement that'll be just as compelling as our competitors like Tesla. You know, they have a great start. and I'm so humbled by their excellence. You know, they have a great start, and I'm so humbled by their excellence. But it's time for Ford to focus and to catch up and pass them.
Jim, the message seems to be on the legacy ICE business that this is going to become a lean, mean profit machine. Are job cuts at the gas engine business a part of that?
I think it's somewhat inevitable that his next statement is that everything's on the table, but look, it's inevitable that this is going to happen, that there will be job cuts because these guys have to migrate to a different technology, and it means they've got to retrain their workers to do a different type of job. That's not impossible, but it may be difficult. That's all. We'll see. We'll see. I thought it was an interesting interview, particularly the thing about the vertical integration. Ford are now starting to think about that. They realise now how far ahead I think Tesla are from them. He mentioned the fourth level autonomy. Tesla will probably have that within the next year or two. I think that the best that they can hope for at this point is to be a competitor and to stay alive. I hope they do. We'll see. Time will tell. That was the interview with Bloomberg. I found it interesting. I think that they're all starting to realise now just how far ahead Tesla are from the rest of the pack, and I think that they're also in trouble. Many of the legacy auto manufacturers are in debt up to their eyeballs, and they've got old systems that don't lend themselves to pivot quickly and or easily. It's a bit like the elephant in the room, trying to move the elephant around the room. It's not going to be good, you know. And so I don't know. I'm hopeful, like I said, that these companies will move forward. I would hope that they don't go broke, but the chances are good that they may. Can Jim Farley save Ford? As my title in my thing says, you know, can Ford's CEO save the company? I think he's got his work cut out for him. I hope all the best for them, and I hope all the best for the company, of course. But Tesla are ahead, guys. Tesla are just so far ahead because they don't have the chains around their legs, and they're not being held back by old ways of doing things, and they don't have to worry about the fact that their ICE industry, the thing that's making the money is the thing that is going to die, that they've got to get rid of. Wow, I would not like to be in their shoes. It makes innovation difficult. It makes moving forward difficult because you've always got like a dead body hanging around your neck, you know, holding you back. That's the way I see it anyway. So, as I said, guys, I'm all in on Tesla. I do hope that these guys do survive. But I think by 2030, I think we probably won't see many of these old manufacturers will be gone, or they'll certainly be a shadow of their former selves. Let's see what happens. Okay, guys, so until next time, have a fantastic week. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.